This lesson, we're going to look at experimental probability. If you watched the last lesson, we were doing theoretical, what the probabilities are using the maths. Now we're going to do it using experiments, okay? And experiments are just trials. We're just like, all right, let's see how we can get a 4. Let's roll the dice 20 times and count how many 4s there are and see how that lines up with it. So we're just going to do it by doing things over and over again. Experimental probability is an event that someone has run. So we're going to run some here. And he says, find the probability. Now we're going to use this, which is very similar to what we used in the theoretical probability, except the bottom is the number of trials that we run and the number of times that it occurs. Okay, so just be aware of that. I'm going to use examples to do it. And if you run a large number of trials, it should be similar or exactly to theoretical probability. So if I toss a coin 5 times, I'm not going to get exactly 50% probability. But if I toss a coin 1,000,000 times, I should get really close to 50%, heads and tails. So that's what that means. All right, let's go. So what we're going to do is that we're actually going to do an experiment, and I've got this up here for you. We're going to do a couple of experiments with this. So I'm going to split the screen up, and we're going to not do that. We're going to do the virtual dice, okay? So I've got a 6-sided dice here. I can pick a very different ones. These are just from Google, and I'm going to bring it this, and I'm going to run this experiment. I'm going to say, what does it say? Let's do it 10 times. Okay. Let's do it 12 times. Let's get a different number. 12 times. All right. So let's start by rolling it. So I'm going to roll it. I get a 2. So I'm going to put a tally next to 2. I'm going to roll it. I get 5. Roll it. I get 2, roll it, I get 2, roll it, I get a 4, roll it, 5, I'm just going to keep going. So what I have here is I've already rolled it 10 times. Now, so I'm going to roll it 2 more times to get it to the 12 that we suggested. But you can already see some things happening. So 1 and 5. Okay. So I'm going to move this across. I'm going to move this across here just to give me a bit more space. And then I'm going to answer the questions. Now, you saw that this just happened live, essentially. And the question is, what is the experimental probability of rolling a 4? Now, we looked at this theoretically in a previous video. Now we're going to look at it with this experiment. Well, how many times did 4 happen? Twice. And how many times did we run the experiment? Well, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which actually works out to be exactly the same probability as our theoretical probability, which is not what I was wanting to do, but let's pick a different number. The one that I want to pick is 5. What's the probability of rolling a 5? Well, the experimental probability in this experiment that we just run in front of your eyes, it happens 6 out of 12 times, which simplifies to a half. Now, that is way different to the theoretical probability, which would be the same as rolling a 4, which would be 1/6. Not only that, what is the experimental probability of getting a 6? It looks like it's a big fat 0, okay? So just be aware that your experimental probability might be different to your theoretical probability, especially if you roll a low amount of times, okay? Next one, what's the experimental probability of rolling a 2? Well, this one will be a little bit different. It's 3 out of a total 9. How many times did we run this experiment? 12 times. 3 out of 12 and we can simplify that into 1/4. Okay, so that's vastly different to what it should be. Okay, so there we go. All right, let's run one more experiment, and this is a virtual spinner, and I've got this on Google as well. So I just have to get the new slide. So let's just go there. There it is. And what we're going to do is that we're going to run this spinner. We're going to run it, let's go 15 times. And we've got the spinner over here. You can't see it. So I've got to show you. Yeah. There it is. There it is there. Oh, this is not good. All right, I'm going to have to bring that back in. So here's our spinner, okay? And it's got all these different colors. And if you spin it, it will land on one. So for example, it landed on blue then, okay? So we're going to use that spinner and see, I don't know if you can see, but next to blue, the count is 1. And if I spin it again, I get red. And see, now there's a count in red and things like that. But you can also do it really quickly, which I'm going to do because for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do it so we can have a look at it. So I'm going to grab this up. I'm going to grab this up and put the spinner next to it. So let's go. All right, so we've got the spinner there. I'm going to run it, what do we say, 15 times. So instead of here, I'm going to put 15 and we're going to spin it. All right, so spin it. And it's doing it right now. I don't know if you can see it, but you could probably see it looping around a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip to the end because it's going to give me all the information. So skip to the end. It's run all the trials. And hopefully you can see over here, because I can't write on this website, all the times that it happened. So for example, red happened once, purple happened 4 times, yellow happened 3. So we're going to look at those results to answer the questions over here. So I'm going to look at that and hopefully we can see it. Yep, there we go. All right, how many times did it land on lime? Well, it landed twice, 2 times. Can you see that from here? It's around there. Can you see that it landed on lime twice? Yep. What was the experimental probability of landing on lime? Well, it would be lime, which is a kind of a greeny, the same color as limes. And it happened 2 times. And how many times did we run this experiment? 15 times. And you can see here, number of spins, 15. So 2 out of 15. And that's the probability of running this experiment. Now, what is the theoretical probability? Well, there's blue, yellow, cyan, red, purple, and lime, okay? So there is 6 possibilities, okay? So what is the theoretical probability of landing on lime? Well, lime should work out to be 1 out of how many possibilities are there? 6, okay? How do they compare? Actually, they're not too far off. This one is a bit more improbable than this one. So it should have, for 15 times, yeah, it's about right. 2 or 3 would be about right. It might be better. We know what the probability 1/6 is because we've done that. That's 0.167, blah, 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 blah. What's the probability of 2/17? Can you work it out? If we do it as a decimal, because this is where decimal gives us a more accurate answer. So I'm just getting it up. And it looks like it's about 0.1333, and it keeps going. So that's this one, and this is that one. So how do they compare? They are close, but you get a better possibility of getting the theoretical one than the experimental one. Now, if we were to pick another color like red, they're vastly different, okay? So just be aware that sometimes experimental probabilities work out to be very different to theoretical probabilities. Okay, that's the end of that video. Peace out.